Alright guys, I'm extremely hungover today, so here's the deal. Plant is gonna do the entire guide for you today.
Get it right, man. Hello, YouTube! I'm just kidding, guys. Spazie coming at you, and I'm not kidding about the hungover thing, unfortunately. Which is why you are, for the first time, gonna see me without my contact lenses, wearing my nerdy glasses. Oh yeah! Goggle-eye goodness, as you say. Plant is here, obviously. I'm slowly starting waking up. I got my coffee, but I'm gonna try and be as energized as I used to when we go through Graves to the face, like the ultimate I just hit this thing. So yeah, Graves, a very bursty type mid-ranged AD carry. Let's go through how you can play him like a boss, starting off with those abilities like we always do. And Graves' passive is called True Grit. Graves gains 1 to 3 bonus armor and magic resist every second he remains in combat, and this stacks up to 10 times. Now you're probably not going to min-max this as much, like where are my stacks at, what am I going to do now? But you can keep it, some track on the buff at the bottom of your screen there, and if it's at 10, you know you're a bit more durable than your laning partner, or laning opponent if you will. And well, it basically makes you a little mini-tank on bot lane early stages of the game, which is awesome. It truly is a great passive. Moving on to the Q, called Buckshot. Graves shoots 3 bullets in a cone, each dealing physical damage on a 0.8 per attack damage scaling ratio to all enemies in their path. Enemies with multiple bullets take 25% damage from each additional bullet. This is the hungover voice. I'm imagining it sounds a bit like a professional radio caster, but this is Magic 94.8. Welcome. But okay, so the Q. God, there it is again. The Q, sorry guys. If you can get in their face with this, it'll do a lot of damage basically. And it's a great poke in lane. Even though it's on a very short range, you will, in combination with your other abilities, poke them down with this. For show. Let's move on to the W, Smokescreen. Graves fires a smoke canister. I don't know what that is. I think it's what we see on the screen right there. Dealing magic damage on impact and creating a smoke cloud at the location that lasts for 5 seconds. Enemies inside the cloud have their sight radius reduced and are slowed by 15 to 35% while they remain in the cloud. I'm going to show you some main uses of this awesome ability later in the video. And then the E, Quick Draw. Grave dashes forward, gaining 40 to 80% increased attack speed for 4 seconds. Each of his basic attacks lowers the cooldown of Quick Draw by 1 second. So if you pew, you can dash. And be used both offensively and defensively. And there's some utility in it as well, and I'm going to show you some more uses later in the video. The ultimate collateral damage. Excuse me. Graves fires off an explosive shell, dealing 250 to 500 physical damage, scales on 1.4 per attack damage, insane, to the first enemy champion hit. And after hitting, it does a cone spread AoE damage to any enemies behind the target you hit. This sets it up for some interesting uses, and overall it's just a great burst AoE ultimate of doom. Oh yeah. I grab 1 point in every ability, but I max Q first for the damage, I max W for the increased slow and cooldown and damage, and finally I max my E. Of course I grab that ultimate of awesomeness every time it's up. I have finally taken you guys' advice and done some rework on my rune page, and now I've come to know and love this one for almost all my AD carries. It's a flat physical damage, not armor pen rune page, in the marks and quintessences, and then I grab armor seals and magic resist glyphs flat for the sustain during the bot lane phase, and you almost always are bot lane as an AD carry anyway. And once you get over the fact that you auto attack a little bit slower, I usually go with attack speed there. This is so much more reliable, especially on a bursty character like Graves. The Masteries, however, are still standard with a 21-9-0 build with Vampirism instead of Havoc and that Veteran Scars for the extra health. This is the Mastery pace that I found works best on my AD carries. It's all about playstyle, but this is what I found overall most efficient. And that transitions us beautifully into the item build. I usually go with the boots and health pots if I don't get sustain, and then if I do have a Serac or anything like that, I enjoy the Doran's Blade. And with Graves, I always find myself building either two ways. Either I grab the quick infinities to secure that late game damage and also do the insane burst and capitalize on my abilities. Or I grab the Bloodthirster, due to the fact that he is a quite short range champion that has to get in there, and the sustain you get for it in team fights is just awesome. Either way though, if you get to the sick endgame, you should have both of these items. If you're going for Infinity though, you will need the lifesteal, and if you have sustain for your support, maybe the Vampire Acceptor will do just fine, but if you don't, if you have a Janna for instance, then a Rigger's Lantern is highly recommended, that you can then sell off if you get to the sick late game. The boots are upgraded to Berserker Greaves, and yeah, maybe at the late game into Merc Treads instead, and then you build your Phantom Dancers. After this, you could just go full out and build your squishy glass cannon build, grabbing either a Last Whisper, another pair of Phantom Dancers, or the Infinity if you bought the Bloodthirster first, and vice versa. Or you could invest in some defenses, and there you have the Guardian Angel, always a good item, the Banshee's Veiled, awesome for any AD, and maybe even Frozen Heart, I don't know, Quicksilver Sash, always a good idea if you have suppression on their team, and that's basically the items I would recommend. Top it off with the elixirs as usual, and remember guys, try and be versatile, try and think what items will come in handy. Look at the enemy team, look at your team, what situation will the team fight be in, how will you react to it, and build accordingly. Okay? Let's check out some footage, shall we? First off, let me start off by saying Graves is not the hardest character to master. He's kind of simple in the fact that you don't have to do that much to be very potent and deal a lot of damage. Of course, mastering him takes a lot of practice still. But what you want to do basically is think of him more as a caster, but with physical damage, in the mid-game especially. Your combos does a lot of damage if you hit them on one target, so a single target nuker is probably the role I would say that he fills in the mid-game. So wait for the cue, like here, Morgana Starkbind and hits Rise, and I go in with my E, pop all my abilities followed at once, and then auto-attack until Rise is dead, and then I finish off Sona directly afterwards. Wait for the opportunity to go in and then blow everything at one target, and they will suffer. Make sure, however, that you have an escape route, or know that you will down the enemy, otherwise you will end up in a rough spot since you've used your E offensively. Now let's talk a little bit about Graves' E quick draw. Now when you pick up champions with abilities like this, you probably want to start using them defensively. Like here in this clip, Blitzcrank tries to grab me, I use my E to get away, and now knowing that they have no cooldowns, we go in and burst them down immediately with my sick combo and my Infinity Edge. So mastering it defensively usually pays off in the long run, in the beginning at least. Once you get the hang of it, you can start doing some crazy stuff. But here we're picking up a Drake, and I'm using my E to increase my attack speed when doing it. Now this is not something you want to do generally. If you don't know if the team's gonna come there and initiate on you when you're doing it, you want to save your E. You want to be able to jump over the wall like I did here, or just use it to increase your attack speed at that point. So don't be too hasty wasting this ability just on a whim. Graves' Q does a lot of damage up close, and it's a really easy tool to push the minions with, which can be used very strategically if you have, for instance, a very sustainable support like Sona or Soraka. I usually find myself pushing the turret quite a lot against most champion, especially if they don't have the same sustain. The clip we're watching right now, for instance, is from a game where I believe I play against a Tristana and Janna with a Sona myself, and due to the fact that we kept the lanes pushed at all times, I actually hit 100 CS when Tristana was at 70, I believe, which does a huge impact in the teamfights to come. And we did this even though they had a Rammus in the jungle, and the reason we're able to do this is that we had good map awareness and great ward placements from our support. Be cautious though, because it takes a lot of practice to aim the Q, and if you're not skilled enough, this might happen.
LOL! No friendly fire here.
Get some practice in, however, and you'll be able to do this.
Squish him.
Kill steal!
Oh yeah, I got this. I thought it was enemy.
So Graves' combo is pretty much standard if you want to nuke one target down. Go in with your E as close as possible, hit your Q, W and R at the same target, and they will suffer. However, remember that the ultimate has a cone AoE damage behind it, and this means, for instance, in this clip, when Blitzcrank does a clumsy engagement and I get him low, I can hit Sivir, even though she's spell shield, with the ultimate and kill Blitzcrank behind her. Sometimes I even feel more like a Kassadin than an AD carry. But either way, let's move on. The W, Smokescreen, is a beautiful ability. Not only will it slow and blind people that are trying to chase after you, but with some practice you can use it as a very potent zoning device in teamfights, and even shut down potential threats for a couple of seconds. Remember, if an enemy stands in the circle of your Smokescreen, they can't see anything except the target attacks them. As long as you don't do that, they will be shut down for the duration they stand in that cloud. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about positioning again, since it is a very crucial part of being a successful AD carry. Buying Berserker Greaves is great, but it comes with a cost, and the cost being, if you get stunned, you can get chain stunned into death, and that's why I usually bring my Cleanse, or buy a Quicksilver Sash. Here Leona initiates and stuns me. I don't have my Cleanse up that second, and thus I get chain stunned from Lux and bursted down immediately. If you have the cleanse up and flash, if that's the summoner spells you're rocking, then you can be a bit more aggressive. If you don't have it, however, be careful and mind your positioning at all times, because you're no good to the team as a dead person. Here we grab the red and then we set up for a little trap. Tristana is gonna come here and face check, which is always nice as Graves. I just burst her down immediately with the help of Sona, but then I get a bit greedy, getting in the turret range and getting stunned by Cassiopeia. No sweat, however, since I have cleanse, and it probably made her go, "That was my kill, gonna go home and cry." It's also very important to choose which targets to attack in the team fight. Here we're getting contested at our blue, and I'm going to incidentally take this due to the fact that it's risking to get into the enemy's hand, and Gragas has his cooldowns. So I'm grabbing the blue, they're jumping away from Jarvan. Now I notice that Shaco deceives in deep and goes for a crit on Lux there. Very nice damage, and I'm going to move in from the side and hit most of the squishy targets with my ultimate. Great burst there. We managed to down Cassiopeia, which was the main damage dealer in this game, and in front of us we have Jarvan and Leona. Now I'm just going to ignore them and walk towards Ezreal, use my E to get close, burst him down, and then one hit Lux, who's very low as well, and then I can crit down Leona there, no problem, and we mop them up. It's very important, guys, that if you can get to the squishies and if you can ignore the closest targets, you kinda have to, because especially when it comes to a target like Ezreal, he may be low and he may be outzoned, if you will, but he will stay there and he will poke you down with his Qs and all the range that he's got on his abilities, so he has to die if you want to win the team fight. A bit later in the same game, we notice that they are heading towards Baron, but it's a perfect bait that catches Gragas off guard, and we loses our AP, and now they are gonna go for Baron. Now, important here is that we actually keep very cool, and I just ward there in front of me, so I know that I can walk in there. We see them do Baron. We have vision. The ward outside there is just enough to see the health bar of the Baron Nashor there, so I'm just gonna sneak around here, and hopefully I'm gonna be able to steal the Baron with my ultimate. That's what I'm hoping at least. Now, we're communicating here and saying we have to go in here. They are semi-low and we have to do something. I hit off my ultimate. Unfortunately, they do a good smite, but I can do insane damage from the other side of the wall. Now I flash in there. That probably was a mistake. I should probably have stayed on the other side of the wall and picked off the targets when they jump back. Jarvan there, also gonna flash after, but now after my auto attacks, my E is up again. I can just jump over the wall and keep DPSing, and we will bring him down as well. And that was a GG if I recall correctly. And that is basically it for my guide to Graves. If you enjoy this and if you want to see more guides in the future, you know what to do, guys. Hit that like button, it really helps me out. And Planty would like me to let you guys know that if you have any questions regarding this guide or anything in life in particular, I'll happily answer them if you submit them in the comment box below. I read and try to answer all of the comments. Feel free to check out the other guides I've got on my channel, and also feel free to subscribe if you don't want to miss the upcoming guides coming out. Another cool thing you can do with your new YouTube page is that you can click see all at your subscriptions. You can find me in that list, and then you can click the little pin thingy symbol right there. And if you do that, I will actually end up on the front page, so you can easily click me and check out my latest news and my newsletters and everything that I publish. And that's all there is to it. I can finally go and lie down and rest my head a bit. God, this headache is killing me. This has been Spazie, and I am out. Dudes!